The US now officially slapping a 30% tariff on goods from South Africa. Pretoria had put forward a framework deal for the US to consider, but it was rejected for lacking ambition. The second proposal seems to have been blue-ticked. Our business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo tracking the story to unpack some of these consequences for our exporters and our economy. Ntokozo, good morning. The concern, of course, is that this could have a real big impact on our economic growth. What are trade experts saying?
Certainly, Stephen. Good morning. Well, I am with the founder of FairPlay, that's Francois Baird, just to give us a little bit more insight of that. Francois, when we were speaking earlier off the record, that 30% US tariff now official, kicking in or implemented by the 7th of August. The US saying it's to close that trade deficit, but it's more than just trade at this moment, no?
Absolutely. South African farmers and workers and producers are now paying the penalty for their government alienating the biggest economy in the world over the last 15 years. And if we look at what Eswatini did, very smartly, by doing a deal that's not only about trade, but also about taking in illegal alien people from the US, this shows that some governments have not been asleep at the wheel and have been quite smart about how to negotiate. What's ahead for us is a lot of pain, because unless South Africa changes its political posture, its geopolitical alignments, this is only going to get worse. Because remember, there's still talk of a 10% BRICS penalty that might be coming down the track. And therefore, this is time to panic and avoid the Christmas rush.
FairPlay now advocates for or against predatory trade and fair trade for all markets, seeing that it would impact the most vulnerable in the country, you know, the poor in the rural. And how does that then impact ability to plan for socio-economic developments? And what sort of policy would you then be advocating for governments to act right now and close the gap before it's too big?
The South African government should take the poultry industry in particular in its confidence and work with them to not try and force the poultry industry to give more, because there's no more to give. It's been sacrificed every time in past negotiations for the sake of other industries in South Africa. This time around, we're very concerned that the South African government and the Department of Trade and Industry has not been speaking to the poultry industry. And you know, 66% of all meat consumed in South Africa is poultry. And poultry consumes most of the soya and the grain produced in South Africa. So it is a vital strategic asset to South Africa, and the South African government should do everything in its power to assist the poultry industry in this particularly difficult period, especially if it plans to make concessions without even consulting the industry.
And now the DTIC saying that they launched then that export help desk for exporters specifically for this reason. But of course, the export desk has kind of always existed. They just, adding support staff for this particular issue. Do you think it's enough to support South African businesses exporting not just to the US, but to other markets as well?
Strategically, the government should look at these industries that are vital to South Africa's future health and economic well-being. And if you look at poultry, directly and indirectly, 100,000 people are employed. The DTIC Minister Tau, has a master plan that has been agreed with the industry. The industry invested and created more jobs. Part of that capacity is now standing idle. And so therefore, DTIC would not be doing the country a favor if it ignores the poultry industry, or even worse, if it sacrifices the poultry industry for the sake of trying to get some deal done in a panic at the last moment.
Francois, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for those insights. Stephen, Francois, focusing on the poultry industry and the need for governments to act more decisively and swiftly when it comes to getting over this impasse with the US. As you just said, he's saying it is more than just trade, but of course the politics there, South Africa playing a little bit of catch up when it comes to its relationship with the United States. And the focus has largely been on the automotive industry and the citrus industry, on how those industries would be affected, but poultry as well, another industry that government needs to see how we can craft a better deal that would be acceptable for the United States, but whether there is still room to negotiate, because President Trump did announce then that 30% just before midnight on Thursday, and saying that it will then give 7 days for customs and border control to just update their systems and be on par within that 30% tariff officially kicking in on the 7th of August, which is next week, Friday. But we do continue following this the story, Stephen. I'm hoping to go out to the DTIC to get insights on how exactly this exports support desk will work. I was told by the spokesperson, Camille Ali, earlier on that it's not so much a physical desk, so it's not an office that businesses exporting to the US or other markets can walk into, but they do have personnel that they've put in place to deal specifically with the US tariffs. And we do have those details that we will be rolling out as I continue to track this story, Stephen.
Ntokozo Khumalo, thank you very much indeed.